Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew podcasting network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, you'll have two movies to check out. And if you want to know who my guest is, I could be perused. Do you have $20? It's Mike Hilty.
Hello. Thanks for having me on to talk about two very funny movies.
What movies are you talking about?
So we're talking
Offer
about
me $20. And if you're wondering why I'm starting out with this gag, is because we are talking about The Naked Gun from Files, a Police Squad, as well as Top Secret. We are doing a double dose of Zucker, Abraham Zucker.
Mm.
So, some good old-fashioned spoofs because the new Naked Gun film is taking the world by storm, and you're gonna laugh.
You're
I
gonna
can
laugh very, very much so.
And just remember, if somebody offers you a fresh coffee, get rid of the one that you have. So,
That was just such a fun gag that they did throughout the course of that whole thing, and just the way that like sometimes they would just like slam it into a garbage can, sometimes they just like throw it on the ground, sometimes they would just
like,
leave it somewhere.
get tossed to the side.
Mhm.
But let's get started with the first film that we're going to talk about, which this was Mike's pick, which is The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad from 1988. Incompetent police detective Frank Drebin must foil an attempt to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II. And this is from director David Zucker, and wrote this along with his brother Jerry Zucker and their collaborator Jim Abrahams. And this stars Leslie Nielsen, who you might know as an actual serious actor from films like The Forbidden Planet, but basically from the 80s into the 90s and into the 2000s and the aughts was just, doing parody films.
Mhm.
And Mike, what are your general thoughts on The Naked Gun?
I found that fact out later on in life that Leslie Nielsen was not a comedic actor at
Mhm.
first. But if this is the first movie that you watched, you would think that he made his career from these types of movies because he is phenomenal in this.
Yep.
And even earlier in the decade with Airplane as well. Just all of these movies, he just has such comedic timing between he was really good at physical comedy.
Mhm.
He was really good at being the straight man and delivering like deadpan lines. But then also his facial reactions to things was great too. So this to me will go down as just one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And
Mhm.
the absurdist comedy in this is outstanding. I love the beginning part with the ambulance. Like that's just something that they continue on. Like even to this day, that was something that they sort of continued
Mhm.
with even with the newest one. And everybody's great. This is definitely a product of the 80s.
Mhm.
You could definitely tell it is, but assassinating the queen while in America, what a stupid plot, but it's still a lot of fun.
This movie is, and you're probably wondering why I didn't pair this up with Airplane.
Because you've done it
You,
before.
well, so you should go check out my episode that I recorded with my wife when we talked about Air Force One and Airplane, because
Mm.
they're both on planes.
Yep.
But this particular film is downright hilarious. This is 85 minutes. That's
Mhm.
it. That's all it needs. It's in, it's out. And Leslie Nielsen is the king of dry, deadpan, straight man humor. And to your point, like the moment where he accidentally enacts like the airbags in his car, and the car starts driving away, and he starts shooting it. He's like, "Did anybody get a look at the driver?" And then he has a slow realization that it was his
His
car,
car.
and you just see it on his face, and he's like, "I going inside," and it's just like walking away. But I can talk about this movie all night quoting it, but let me slip into something comfortable. The Zoomer, it's a whole entire tuxedo. He
Mhm.
just looks so fancy, and then he just pulls it off. And my friend Matt hit one of the biggest gags that he loves in the history of movies is the human-sized condoms.
Oh yeah, that's great. I think the part about that that gets me as well is so she's in his apartment making just like boiling chicken in a
Yeah.
pot as well. Um, like though their relationship is hilarious.
Mhm.
Just even with like the turn of phrases like nice beaver. Oh, I just had it stuffed recently. Just little things like that. The sequence right after the condom scene with that song, which I played at trivia recently, and everyone was like, "The Naked Gun!" I'm like, right, right.
They clothesline the people on the beach
Mhm,
holding hands and everything. And speaking of music, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na. And
mhm.
yeah, that whole entire gag with the sirens going through the streets, on the sidewalk, through a house, on a roller coaster, for the credits was excellent. And this movie starts off wild because like you have Idi Amin, you have Yasser Arafat, and
Mhm.
all of these really famous like dictators, and he just shows up and beats them all up, and it's just wild. It's so
Mhm.
silly. And he's like, the fact that he was on vacation in Beirut, it's the most random thing.
It was a vacation and just something to get over his a recent breakup as
Yes,
well. Um,
which oh my god. With his breakup, where he gets off the plane and he does that whole entire speech where he's just like, and you all are here trying to get all the news on a
mhm.
broken man's heart. It's like, Frank, they're not here for you. They're here for Weird Al Yankovic.
Of,
And
of
he's
all
just
of all the people like to be consistently in all of these movies, that's the guy. That
Weird
just
Al Yankovic,
that's that's fantastic. I love that
which
so much.
I'm white. I'm a man. I'm a huge fan of Weird Al Yankovic. Um, so I am actually a humongous fan of Weird Al Yankovic.
Weird
And
Weird Al just played a show at a venue by me recently, and
did you
I know a
go?
lot. I did not go. I know a lot of people who did go, and they were like, the guy still has it. He's still great.
Mandatory fun, peak peak albums. But I just love one of my favorite things about this film is the dynamic between Frank and Ed.
Hmm.
George Kennedy is the perfect straight man in this situation. And it's just like, well, Frank, it's the best sex she's had in her whole life. When they were in the car after he got off the airplane, I'm like, damn. Oh my God. Just the banter between them. And it's like, he has a picture of your wife. And it's like, what? And like punches the guy. And Priscilla Presley, very sexy and endearing in this performance. And you have Ricardo Montalban.
Ricardo Montalban, just so good as this smug businessman who you can't help but just hate
Mhm.
as a villain. And I don't know, it seems like for the 80s, it's a pretty interesting plan where like you're kind of Manchurian candidating all these
Yeah,
people who, anybody could be
must kill the queen. Must kill the queen. Reggie Jackson.
Reggie, oh my God, Reggie Jack. And that whole baseball game is
Yes.
like just, I love that whole baseball game. Down to, I'm looking at the ESPN article now that did a eulogy for Enrico Palazzo.
It's
It's a great,
Enrico Palazzo.
yeah. Because at first I was like, is there a real Enrico Palazzo? It's like, no, there's not. It's just a random, it is a random name, and it's a perfect name for someone who could be potentially an opera singer who's coming to America to sing the national anthem. But oh man, Leslie Nielsen sells it between the singing of the national anthem, which is
The
horrendous,
horrible
which is
singing the
horrendous,
national.
and then the way that he calls strikes and balls as well, particularly
Right?
strikes. I feel like they should play that at umpire school to be like, you see this? If you want to have fun, do it that way.
On the third strike where he calls it before the ball even makes it to the plate, he does the moonwalk and splits, and then the patting down, groping of all the players the whole entire time. Hilarious. The just that whole entire sequence is just layered in jokes. Like the fact that Enrico Palazzo is still a running gag how
Mhm.
many years later at this point? And the whole entire like Reggie Jackson, oh the commentators that they
Oh
have
my
like seven, and I hate Tim McCarver, still hate Tim McCarver.
God.
But like you have Jim Palmer and the how about that? And then they showed the bloopers.
Yeah,
Oh my guy gets hit by a car on
right.
the field.
Hmm.
And it's just absurd so much. And like the whole like getting run over by this steamer and
Hmm.
then the marching band and all of that stuff. Just all those gags. And then there's just so many perfect gags. The outline of a dead body floating on the water, the whole exchanging of money. Can I borrow
Hmm.
$20? Here. How about you tell me what you want? That gag is perfect. The even like OJ Simpson's Nordberg getting into that room and all the slapstick shenanigans that happens to him before he falls off.
But not only that, even the sequence when he's in the hospital room as well, and because there's two. There is Frank just like breaking this poor woman's heart, like
Yeah.
just every ounce that he can get, like
Not if
just.
he's a vegetable.
But then, but then
Just
the part
mess
where,
up.
but then the part where where an assassin gets sent to kill Nordberg, and then Frank is in there, and they're just like beating this poor guy up. Nordberg, not the assassin, but Nordberg
Of course not the assassin.
in particular, just gets it pretty bad as well. One of my favorite sequences in this is Leslie Nielsen or Frank. He is looking to hitch a ride for a car chase, and they get in the car of this poor driving student, and the instructor teaches her how to flick someone off.
Here, wait a minute. I'm trying to specifically find uh that whole it's like, okay, extend your arm and flip them off. Back to the him trying to talk to Norberg. Heroin, heroin, Frank. Norberg, that's a pretty tall order. You're gonna have to give me a couple of days on that one.
Mhm.
Which there's a lot of subtle commentary about police in this. Like, just think next time I shoot someone, I could be arrested.
So ahead of its time. Good for them for doing this.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
can I ask you a question? Have you ever seen the TV show that this is
No, but
based
I
on?
really want to go back and watch because it's like 6 episodes, isn't it? It
And
got
it's nowhere to be found either.
oh, that's
So
a shame.
yeah.
Another one. Robin, I don't want anyone trouble like you had on the South Side. Understand? That's my policy. Yes, well, when I see five weirdos dressed in togas stabbing a guy in the middle of the park in full view of 100 people, I shoot the bastards. That's my policy. That was a Shakespeare in the Park production of Julius Caesar, you moron. You killed five actors, good ones. And this one, hey, the missing evidence in the Kellner case. My God, he really was innocent. He went to the chair 2 years ago, Frank. Well, oh. And he shoves the evidence back in the filing cabinet. Like all of those things, I'm like, damn. Like, that's fired. Oh man. Oh my god, the shootout with him and the guy who's like, Ludwig, Drebin. Yeah, I'm Drebin. I have a message for you from Vincent Ludwig. Shooting at him. Take that, you lousy cop. I'm sorry I can't hear you. Don't fire the gun while you're talking. Just the gags and everything. It's like, oh, Cuban? No, Dutch Irish. My father was from Wales. The
There's
wordplay in this movie is unhinged
a
and so
the, there was one that I read recently where Jane says, "Would you like a nightcap?" And Frank goes, "No, no, thank you. I don't wear them." It's like, oh, buddy, no. But that's the beauty of this movie is that it's not relying too heavily on the action sequences. Um,
Mm.
it's just it's really smart writing. That's what this is to turn common phrases and just give them to Leslie Nielsen and be like,
Yep.
okay, here I know you could find a response to
There
this.
there's a couple in the new one that I lost it. I lost it in the theater.
Mhm.
We can talk about that afterwards. I don't want to spoil any jokes from the new movie.
Mhm.
I'm like spoiling all the jokes from this one. I guess the last thing I'll say is like I love the voice, like his internal monologue there because like this is spoofing noir films and like he winds up like out in the middle of nowhere and he just keeps walking on the sidewalk and then winds up like Hollywood signs just
Mhm.
like
Oh,
like how'd
whoops.
I get here?
Right.
This, I guess, Mike, do you have any other thoughts on this besides this is so dumb yet so hilariously brilliant?
Not this one in particular. I also just give a plug to the second and third one because they're both of those, they're still really funny as well. So for a comedy trilogy like this, it surprisingly holds up. It's really good.
I will admit to you, I have never watched the 2.5 or 33 and a third.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'll have to make sure they're on my obscenely large watch list.
I'm sure they are. Like
So
if that would have been the next one on your list that I could have chosen from, I would have done that. But
there you go.
spirit of the activity, so it's all good.
But next up, we got Top Secret, which isn't quite on Airplane and Naked Gun level, but another really fun, entertaining spoof film from Zucker, Abraham Zucker. And this film, an American rock and roll singer is invited to a cultural festival in East Germany in order to distract from a plot to destroy NATO submarines, but he accidentally becomes involved in the resistance plot to rescue an imprisoned scientist, starring Val Kilmer of
Rest in
all
power,
people, which
sir.
is so interesting. This is co-directed by Zucker, Abrahams, and Zucker. So all three of them directed it along with writing. But Mike, what were your general thoughts on Top Secret?
Top Secret is what I like to call a Comedy Central movie for me. So it is one that like if it was ever on TV back in the day when we could watch when just movies were available on just regular TV, I would sit down and watch it. And this movie hinges largely on Val Kilmer just going all in for
Mm,
this performance, and he does fantastic. Um, I think I read like he's actually performing in this as well, and
mhm.
he's like between this and The Doors, just the guy knows how to at least act like he's putting on a show. So Val Kilmer just sells this through and
Mhm.
through, and the plot of this is ridiculous, and it's obviously spoofing like when Elvis gets recruited to like go on these missions. But it's super charming, it's super funny, and it's got some amazing music as well.
It's it's one of those kinds of films where it's like it just had so many fun ideas. This is a lot more plot heavy
Hmm.
than either Airplane or The Naked Gun, and I feel like that kind of gets in the way of this being as consistently funny as both
Hmm.
of those films.
I would agree with
Because there
that.
is a lot more that it's trying to do from like a plot standpoint. But like Val Kilmer is indeed excellent in this, fully committed. Anytime he like jumps into rock and roll singer mode, he's just so entertaining and fun and really charismatic. Um, you have this love triangle that's building up, similar to the love triangle from South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
Well, obviously.
With obviously with a very foreign resistance fighter who's getting in the way of the love that we want to see on screen. Which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if South Park took that from this. To be perfectly honest,
Yeah, I
which
could see
to be
that.
fair, where this all come from? Casablanca. Um, so it's where it all was spoofing from. So
Hmm.
this definitely has Casablanca vibes that it's spoofing on. And like Omar Sharif popped up in this movie. Like what?
Hmm.
And like Michael Goh, who was Alfred for
Alfred.
so many of us through the Burton Schumacher years, playing the scientist, and like Peter Cushing just popped up randomly in this movie too, which was so weird. One of the resistance fighters is actually Deja Vu, is Jim Carter from Downton Abbey.
Oh,
Um,
really?
which was really unexpected. He's because he has a French accent, and has a mustache in this,
Hmm.
so you don't quite realize it's him right away. But like, there's so many wild gags in this too. Like, obviously, you have the cow thing with the
Oh, of
boot
course. Naturally.
from right from the trailer. I think that I think Val Kilmer and Lucy
Got
Gutteridge
rid. Yeah.
have decent enough
D-
chemistry together. It's not like, oh my god, I love this romance, but
It's
it has
not
some
Les. It's not uh Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley. Like,
or even Liam Neeson and Pam Anderson at this point, which is turned into real life.
I love that. I love that so much. Good for them. They found love in a hopeless place.
Liam Neeson found love with a Playboy model. Um, good for you, Liam Neeson.
Good for him, man. Yeah, for sure.
But like this has a whole bunch of like it's interesting because it dives into a whole bunch of like really relevant 80s like geopolitical issues. Like this whole
Hmm.
East Germany thing and Russia and all of this and NATO submarines.
NATO is in this. Yeah.
What is this, 2025 at this point?
Hmm.
Which like I don't think a spoof movie like this needs a ton of plot, but like for this, it's interesting that they dove so heavily into all of these like heavy geopolitical issues to then have some fun within Lampoon.
Hmm. Yeah, the uh upon rewatching this, which I had to rent this because I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, but upon rewatching this, because I haven't seen this movie in a really long time, and I completely forgot. It's like, oh, this is dealing with a lot of like communist themes, and different
Mhm.
things like that, which was not quite anticipating, but still, I mean, it was just a fun plot. Um, you're right, it is a little convoluted, it is a bit
Mhm.
much, but um, yeah, just still enjoyed it nonetheless.
And the most obvious, oh my God, he was bad all along,
Mhm.
uh, was, um, I have to give credit to that Wizard of Oz ending. That got me. That was
Mhm.
hilarious.
Mhm.
And here's some great quotes directly from the IMDb quote section. So I know a little German. He's sitting over there. What is the condition of Sergeant Kruger? Very well. Let me know if there's any change in his condition. He's dead. Listen to me, Hillary. I'm not the first guy who fell in love with a woman that he met at a restaurant who turned out to be the daughter of a kidnapped scientist, only to lose her to her childhood lover, who she last saw on a deserted island, who then turned out 15 years later to be the leader of French underground. I know, it all sounds like some bad movie.
Mhm.
Slow look at the screen at the audience. That fourth wall break was fantastic. And also the spoof of Black Lagoon. Is it Blue Lagoon that had Brooke Shields in it?
Yeah, Blue Lagoon.
Yep, that spoof. Because he had the same curly blonde hair as the kid from that
Yes,
and
yes, he
everything. I'm
did.
just like, oh my God. Hail, hail, East Germany, land of fruit and grape, land where you'll regret if you try to escape. No matter if you tunnel under or take a running jump at the wall, forget it, the guards will kill you if this electric fence doesn't first.
Oh,
Lovely. It's
just
beautiful.
beautiful stuff.
Nick, I've tried everything. The embassy, the German government, the consulate. I even talked to the UN ambassador. It's no use. I just can't bring my wife to orgasm.
Oh, so between this and Real Genius, which like I don't like, it kind of bums me out that like Val Kilmer didn't continue to do more comedic work. It
Huh.
feels like post Top Gun, he just kind of veered more into the action and the more serious work, which that's
Mhm.
fine. Like if that's what you want to do, so be it. And they did get him a little bit with MacGruber, where he got to play a little bit of like a comedic role again. But I think Val Kilmer, I think he should have spent a little bit more time trying to do more comedic roles because I think he could have lasted a little longer in Hollywood, and he probably wouldn't have turned out to be such an asshole to some people.
Well, and have you watched Val?
Yes, I have.
Because like this was never something he really wanted to do. And because like he was a very serious actor, but also like he was one of the most talented actors of his generation. And I think his personality got a lot in the way of a lot of success because the 90s it just imploded.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and MacGruber, he would have kind of just like disappeared even quicker, playing Humph.
Well, because Val Kilmer also, there was a while where he was in like direct to video movies. And
Hmm.
because when I worked at Hollywood Video, there were a couple movies like Val Kilmer's in this? Batman?
Yeah.
Iceman? Really? Doc Holliday?
Oh yeah, he was
Okay.
in Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans from Werner Herzog with Nick
Boy.
Cage as well. Can't you see this iguana?
Oh boy.
Which like obviously, and it was very sad with his cancer and everything that eventually would wind up taking his life. But like it was so wonderful, at least him getting to be like Gay Perry and Humph and some of those roles towards the end. But like he is really like he has a capacity to be a really funny performer.
Mhm.
And like I just love all the fun, very rock and rolly performances that he does throughout this film.
Well,
And at the end of the
but
day, like
not
okay,
not only the performances as well were great, but just like even some of the dance sequences that they
yeah,
had during that were pretty great too, with just like even just like the audience reactions to certain
mhm,
things. Those were really funny too. So just for this also to not only be a great comedy, but also like a kind of interesting geopolitical thriller, but it's also a pretty great musical too.
yeah, honestly. And it's such a strange concoction of a film. And like it certainly hasn't reached the all-time status as Airplane and The Naked Gun, but it has a lot of its own merit and it's a lot of fun and recommend it. But Mike, do you have anything else to add about Top Secret?
No, I don't think so. Again, it's one of those movies that will have a special place in my heart because it was always it's this Real Genius and just like a handful of other comedies of this era were just it feels like it was on all the time, and I feel like there's a group of people out there who are never going to get to see this movie now because it because unfortunately nobody watches things on like standard television anymore, and that's just sad. So um just encourage people, just I guess encouraging anyone out there, if you haven't seen Top Secret, just check it out because um you kind of see a whole different side of Val Kilmer that you just don't see very often.
Well, and I hadn't really even heard of this movie, to be frank, until Rowan picked it for Rowan in the Wasteland when we were still doing our show. So now this is the second time, and both of them have been for podcasts, but I own it now, and
Nice.
it's now part of my collection.
Very nice.
But that's a wrap on another episode of the Wasteland Retrospective. Next week, I'll be joined by Luke to talk about a pair of Oscar winning Ray Fiennes films, The Constant Gardener and The English Patient.
Mm.
And next month, Mike and I are going to get a little bit spoopy, and we're going to be talking about the taking of Deborah Logan and Paranormal Activity. So
we're
let's get a
getting
little creepy.
we're getting spooky right off the bat.
Yep, we're pre-gaming for October,
Hmm.
with September,
Yep.
and make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite spoof movie? Do you have a particular one directed by Zucker, uh, brought to you by Zucker Abrahams and Zucker? You know, they did do basketball too. At least David
That
Zucker directed that.
that
So,
explains quite a bit, actually.
yep. And make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew podcasting network is ever expanding. There's so many great shows with all kinds of different interests. And, you'll find something that'll interest you, especially if you like movies, because we do plenty of those.
There are
Uh,
plenty of movie podcasts on the network. So
and only 5 of them are mine. Um, and if you want to join the crew, you could reach out to us on our website if you want to be a guest on one of these shows, or if you want to start your own podcast. And if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.